What role do you think it's possible Christian Combs could play in his father's criminal case?
The government loves superseding indictments. The government loves indicting your relatives. Why? Nothing is worse. Right now, Diddy's sitting in a jail cell. What could be worse? The thought of your son also sitting in a jail cell.
I think that if we're talking about additional charges and additional defendants, those are probably two of the more likely. And Christian, of course, was the subject of a civil lawsuit where there was a sexual allegation naming him directly.
The government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise, and they actually named it in the indictment, the Combs Enterprise.
Girl, the courtroom in LA turned into a movie scene the moment Christian Combs' name got tangled in the mess. It wasn't just drama, it was nuclear. The defense stood up and boom, dropped a bomb that made everybody's jaw hit the floor. They claimed Christian had underage girls at those notorious freaky yacht parties. Yes, you read that right, minors. Suddenly, it was like time froze. Flashbulbs were exploding like fireworks. Reporters went into full predator mode, and Christian, that man turned white as a sheet. He stood up slowly, like he was in a trance. Then, without even looking at his lawyer, without saying a single word, when he walked out, just walked out like the building was collapsing around him. No goodbye, no, I need a moment, just out. And it was giving one thing full-blown panic mode. Reporters smelled blood, honey. The mention of minors and yacht parties was enough to shift the entire narrative. Everything else, the past rumors, headlines, whispers, looked like child's play compared to what just got dragged into the light. Christian wasn't trying to play defense anymore. This was damage control on steroids. And honestly, that kind of exit, that kind of silence, it didn't look good.
I ain't hear about that raid. I only heard about the LA and Miami raid. But you feel like the feds, they released that video over King Combs' comments.
Oh man, I've worked in law enforcement for 27 years, and I had the opportunity to see HIDA. It's a place, whereas they have the state, the feds, the NYPD, the Department of Corrections, and the state police. Yo, this place could be half of a basketball court. That's where they just got lines of computers with officers of all different people and officers just on the internet. Whoever's over that case, whoever's working that case, don't you know they saw that and took it to their boss?
And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, boom, Christian's lawyer pulls out audio transcripts, girl, actual tapes. We're talking recordings captured in some bootleg yacht studio by a producer, met tapes that featured a young woman named Grace Omar K. And Grace, she was not some random party girl. She was hired to work as a steward on what she thought was a cute, calm family yacht trip in December 2022, chartered by none other than Sean Diddy Combs himself. But the second she stepped on that boat, it turned into pure chaos. She said it was like a non-stop party from hell. Wild women coming in and out who looked way too much like escort. Drink so strong, folks were tipping over after one sip. And the vibe? Downright creepy. Grace shared she was hit on, and after a few sketchy tequila shots, which she swears were spiked, it got aggressive. What started off as a job turned into her worst nightmare.
In a new lawsuit, Sean Diddy Combs' second son, Christian Combs, is accused of sexually assaulting a crew member working on a super yacht. That suit was filed here in Los Angeles. Attorneys representing former yacht stewardess Grace O'Markey say she was sexually assaulted on board a yacht when she was 25 years old in December of 2022 by Diddy's son, rapper Christian Combs. They say his dad, Sean Combs, leased the yacht and had full control of its staff and the premises. O'Markey's lawyers say Combs turned what was sold as a wholesome family excursion into a hedonistic environment. They stated, quote, defendant Sean Combs fostered and encouraged an environment of debauchery. There was always a party atmosphere filled with suspected sex workers, suspected laced alcohol, violence, and sheer disrespect of women and the yacht's crew. The lawsuit also contains photos of bruises that O'Markey's lawyers say she suffered when Christian Combs violently grabbed her and attempted to force her to perform a sex act. They also included a transcript of an audio recording which they say captures O'Markey being forced to consume suspected laced shots of tequila.
Grace then said Christian rolled up on that yacht already wasted, and what he did next. absolutely disgusting. According to her, he pressured her to take shots, then started groping her, touching her legs, her chest, and then tried to force something even worse. She fought him off, thank God, and ran. But was it over? No, he wasn't done with her. He followed her.
On Christian Combs. Well, Markey says that Christian Combs had been staying at a villa on the shore, but that he would come onto the yacht in the evening to party. And on December 28, 2022, Christian reportedly arrived very intoxicated and then proceeded to pressure Markey to take shots of tequila. She did. Christian allegedly tried to get her to drink more in the yacht's makeshift studio. Markey alleges that Christian kissed her neck, kissed her face, as he groped her legs, breasts, and private areas. Markey reportedly told Christian, quote, "Excuse me, you don't touch my legs like that. I'll move my legs where I want to. If I want to do this, then I will. You don't touch my legs like that." Markey then says that she told Christian she couldn't stay with him unless it was approved by a supervisor, all of whom she knew would be asleep at the time. So this was a way for her to get out of the situation. She claims that Christian said, "Who can I talk to? I'm going to say I requested you right now." Markey then says she responded with, quote, "Well, you can take your hand off my ass for the first thing."
She ran into the yacht's movie room, which was also being used as a sleeping area. Christian allegedly blocked the door, came at her again, and it wasn't until someone else stepped in that it stopped. But the damage? It had already been done. Her lawsuit says she's been living with panic attacks, dark thoughts, eating disorders, and yes, even seizures. And she's got receipts, babe. She backed it all up with photos showing bruises, and yes, those creepy audio recordings were filed in court too. She's suing both of the Combs men, Christian and Diddy, for sexual assault, harassment, emotional trauma, and complete failure to protect her. It's ugly, it's heartbreaking, and it's all real.
All right, so I want to bring on right now criminal defense attorney Mauricio Padilla, friend of the show. He's represented some very high-profile defendants in high-profile cases. Good to see you once again. So I don't think we've had a chance to talk about this lawsuit, and now that the news is reporting that Christian has been served with papers here, why is that significant?
Well, it's significant because anytime that they have the opportunity to continue to remind the public of the malfeasance of Diddy, of Diddy's son, of anything related to sexually inappropriate behavior, sexual assault, it helps. It helps the government continue to, lay out the narrative of how bad Diddy was, how bad Diddy's son was. So I think it's consistent with, what they've been doing, putting it out there and really destroying his character. I'm not saying that he didn't do anything to deserve it. I'm saying it's consistent with what they're doing, whether it's the government or the lawyers that are suing him.
Then enters Tyrone Blackburn, Grace lawyer, and baby, this man came ready for war. He marched into that courtroom and wasted zero time. He walked that jury through the audio like it was a horror podcast. He broke down to how the drinks were allegedly spiked with GHB. Yes, we're talking about date rape drugs. And then, get this, he said there's more recordings out there. Yup, he's ready to fight tooth and nail to get them played in open court. But wait, here comes the earthquake. He straight up accused Christian and Justin Combs of either helping organize or participating in these so-called freak-offs. And worse, with minors involved. Christian's lawyer, Aaron Dyer, tried to clap back, calling it all lies, slander, and trash. He said it's a filthy lawsuit and swore he's going to get it tossed out. But here's the tea. There's evidence. And once you say the word evidence in court, it's game on.
Markey, Jones taped this event with her. Yes, the lawsuit provides transcripts of audio recordings. And these audio recordings purportedly show, or you can hear, kissing sounds, her telling Combs not to touch her, her allegedly asking about whether she was drugged. Now, we haven't heard these tapes here on Law and Crime yet, but if they are what they purport to be, that is a huge piece of evidence. And remember, when we're talking a civil case, when we're talking lawsuits, the burden of proof is much lower than a criminal case. It's just preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not that this happened.
And speaking of evidence, Lil Rod came out swinging. His lawsuit, it named Justin Combs specifically. He accused Justin of recruiting underage girls and adult workers to attend private gatherings, freak-offs, and one of the biggest pieces of evidence, a photo allegedly showing Justin with a young woman who looked clearly underage. That image alone, that's what keeps attorneys up at night.
In his lengthy lawsuit, Lil Rod straight name drops Justin Combs, describing him as someone who solicits prostitutes, underage girls, and sex workers. There's actually a picture of Justin Combs with an allegedly underage girl shown in the lawsuit. Now, in this specific instance, Lil Rod alleges at least one underage girl came to Diddy's home for a listening party. A sex worker was also apparently solicited, and a freak-off ensued. As an aside, this is the same night that Lil Rod alleges Diddy forced him to take a laced shot. He started to feel lightheaded and then woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, naked next to a sex worker. It's important to note Justin Combs is listed as a defendant on this case because, according to Lil Rod, he facilitated Diddy's alleged RICO enterprise and at times participated.
Lil Rod went even further. He claimed one girl, clearly not of age, was brought into Diddy's house for what was supposed to be a chill listening party, but instead, you already know, he said another worker was also brought in and it spiraled into another one of those freak-offs, and the worst part? He said Diddy forced him to take a shot that was most likely spiked. Moments later, he said he blacked out and woke up at 4 a.m. naked next to a woman he never consented to being with. Sickening. And Justin, not just mentioned, named as a defendant. Lil Rod says Justin didn't just know about this stuff, he was actively helping run it.
I think that if we're talking about additional charges and additional defendants, those are probably two of the more likely. And Christian, of course, was the subject of a civil lawsuit where there was a sexual allegation naming him directly. So I think if we're going to cast a bit of a wider net, people are talking about family members, other celebrities, maybe some employees like Christina Forum, but I think the most likely would be those two sons.
Why do you think it's the most likely about those two? Just because of the recordings, the allegations against him? What are you thinking?
I think so. I think obviously they're just civil allegations and those cases are going to be put on hold while the criminal case plays out. But, there is some smoke there. And obviously, there's a presumption of innocence and there's a lower standard in a civil case. But you have someone who's been named directly as someone who participated in a sexual assault, and everything else has been rumors and speculation. But here you at least have one verified.
So now we ask, what the hell were these freak-offs really about? Prosecutors aren't calling these casual wild nights or some frat party energy. No, they're painting this as something far more sinister. According to the Manhattan indictment, these weren't parties at all. They were staged sex shows. Let that sink in. Allegedly organized by Diddy himself with help from his own sons, Christian and Justin. Prosecutors say these events were carefully planned, not spur-of-the-moment wildness. They were prepped, executed, and documented. The allegations? That underage guests were being drugged and then forced into sexual acts, all while cameras were rolling. The stuff of nightmare. And it's not just Diddy in the crosshairs. The Combs brothers are named right alongside him. They're accused of recruiting underage girls, handing out cash, stocking the yacht with party favors, and even helping film it all right there beside their dad. This is no longer just a celebrity scandal. This is a generational scandal.
I believe it was Justin, Diddy, and G walked into the bathroom. Gunshots rang out. Lil Rod woke up so scared. Justin and Diddy left. Lil Rod went in the bathroom, saw G out all over the place, literally called the ambulance, carried him out. It was carnage and everything, put him in the ambulance. The police showed up. Lil Rod cited that in his lawsuit, and then they asked for the LAPD's report. The LAPD just released an 18-page report with no mention of any carnage or anyone that actually got shot.
And just when we thought it couldn't get any darker, on September 16th, 2024, a grand jury in Manhattan officially slapped Diddy with a huge indictment. The charges? Racketeering, trafficking, and more. And I mean serious federal level stuff. Prosecutors are now claiming that Diddy didn't just host these events, manufactured young girls, reportedly as young as 9, into taking part in these freak-offs with male workers. Drugs were allegedly used to keep them in line. And the worst part? Everything was filmed. This ain't just a fall from grace. This is the total collapse of Diddy's empire. The accusations now stretch from sex crimes all the way to arson, bribery, and kidnapping. But at the heart of it, these recorded sex acts. That's the rot in the middle of this whole thing.
Was at I believe to be one of P. Diddy's freak-offs.
Now, singer-songwriter Tania Wallace told TMZ's Harvey Levin for the Tubi special, The Downfall of Diddy, Inside the Freak-Offs, she believes she witnessed underage victims at one of Diddy's 2018 parties.
I'm looking like, are those midgets? Because people were it's people over them, like it's people trying to hide what they're doing.
Adults who are little people, or are you talking about minors?
Am I gonna get in trouble? I don't want to say I witnessed any of that crazy stuff, but we all have common sense. Little people that's not supposed to be there.
You're talking about underage people.
It's a shame.
Is this woman, Tania, is she really saying that there were minors involved in these freak-offs?
That is exactly what she's saying, Billy.
And then came the raids. In March 2025, Homeland Security agents stormed Diddy's homes in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York in full-blown coordinated raids. They weren't playing. They seized everything: electronics, firearms, party logs, and get this, a shocking amount of lubricant. Meanwhile, in the middle of the chaos, Christian got cuffed at Diddy's LA mansion. Yeah, they took him in for questioning. He walked out with no charges. But let's not act like that moment wasn't a PR disaster. Diddy's legal team tried to spin it, calling the raids a trap, claiming they were being targeted. Questions at what is out of their hands. We were watching a man with a federal indictment and his son being dragged into a civil case from hell. It was a total media nightmare. Chaos on every front.
The whole public relations side of this, Diddy is going to want to put up a front of an innocent person. And sometimes the best defense is a good offense. Right now, investigators are going through the evidence that they seized. What they're really looking for are videos of the alleged sexual abuse. If prosecutors have that information, we're talking about days or weeks before Diddy is charged. He may go to prison for the rest of his life.
Now here's the real twist. Christian wasn't just a shadow of Diddy. He was actually building his own name. His 2022 hit, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, was climbing the R&B charts. And on top of that, he launched a luxury sneaker brand called Younga Luxury. The boy was out here hustling. He was showing the world he could step out of his dad's massive shadow. But now, every single headline has his name wrapped in scandal.
They have to control the narrative and do their best to control the narrative. And frankly, that's her right if she has that data to do what she wants. I don't think it helped the situation. I don't think it helped her son or Sean Diddy. I think it may have you still have human beings you're dealing with on both sides of the table, and basically kind of amping this up. I don't think that solves anything for anybody. Also, it's a matter of, is the public going to be sympathetic to a billionaire and his problems and his issues? This isn't something that happened, in an unfortunate instance in a lower socioeconomic area of Los Angeles or New York or Cleveland. This is in Hollywood with a $50 million mansion with luxury cars out front, and dealing with a billionaire, and then they had another one in Miami. I don't think the American people or the public are like having a whole lot of sympathy for anybody right now.
Social media, it exploded. People flooded his comments. Some were defending him, some were canceling him outright, and others were begging him to go on camera and say something, anything. But Christian, radio silence. He didn't say a word, only spoke through his lawyers. And in moments like this, that kind of silence, baby, it screams. Especially after that walkout from court. It was loud without being loud. And you know how the court of public opinion works. Sometimes silence is louder than a confession.
What's up, great for my last whore? Risha, Keisha, and Joy. And I ain't tripping if you dip it in Joy.
Set and Mike.
I would lock 23 and 1.
And 1.
Now I ball like 23
And 1. And 1.
No, check under that shit and all that.
Right now he getting practice shots. You know what I'm saying? He getting practice shots because we got the legend in the building.
Yeah, you already know what it is, man.
Christian Combs. King, the one and only.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get right into it though. Music. That's good.
Yeah, I got my new music, Legacy, dropping. It's about to be crazy.
When is dropping? Let us know. Let us know some exclusive
on the
info.
15th, October 15th.
Right.
When you see this, you know it might be out.
Nah, you gonna see it tomorrow. He working hard. This dropping tomorrow.
And Cardi's dropping soon. It's gonna be a visual.
But I keep it real. Ever since we've been in LA like 4 years, we've been running to you, like hearing that, see you grow, like from developing like artists to like just being cool. At first we met you, like we just knew you was cool. Then you start dropping music.
But here's where things might really explode. If Tyrone Blackburn, Grace's bulldog of a lawyer, can prove to the court that there's enough smoke to find the fire, then buckle up. That means discovery starts. And once that happens, oh, honey, it's game on. Emails, yacht logs, party guest lists, surveillance clips, phone records, all of it could be demanded in court. People would have to testify under oath. This won't wrap up in a month or two. This could drag out for years. And every day of it, Christian's name gets dragged through the mud. And that one dramatic moment, the walkout, it won't be forgotten. It'll be played and replayed across social media like it was a trailer for a true crime documentary. That moment, it was just the beginning.
What role do you think it's possible Christian Combs could play in his father's criminal case?
The government loves superseding indictments. The government loves indicting your relatives. Why? Nothing is worse. Right now, Diddy's sitting in a jail cell. What could be worse? The thought of your son also sitting in a jail cell. So if they can prove it and they have him committing crimes and they can involve him in a superseding indictment, I don't see why they wouldn't. They do it all the time in narco cases and in other cases that I've worked on. And it seems to me like Diddy wasn't or never created these broad defined lines between his children and the alleged illegal acts that he was committing. So it's completely possible that they could get wrapped up in a superseding.
Meanwhile, on the East Coast, Diddy's federal trial is locked in for May 5th, 2025 in Manhattan. Jury selection is already gearing up. Prosecutors say they're locked and loaded, with 5 accusers lined up, including Cassie Ventura, who already settled her civil case back in 2023. Now they're trying to bring in propensity witnesses, people who can testify about past freak-offs to show a pattern of abuse and misconduct. Christian's mess out in LA might not be the main event in that courtroom, but baby, it's playing a major supporting role. Prosecutors are painting this whole family as a dynasty of predators. And Grace, she's not backing down. This isn't just about a payout. She wants justice. She wants the world to know that powerful men are not above the law. Her case against Christian is loud, and it's shaking the industry.
Statement to ET, Diddy and Christian's attorney said, "This complaint is filled with manufactured lies and irrelevant facts," adding, "We will be filing a motion to dismiss this outrageous claim." The new lawsuit comes as Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, spoke out on the Art of Dialogue YouTube channel, making new claims about Diddy's notoriously wild parties.
People know there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's loose women, there's loose men, all kind of crazy. I don't think it's only celebrities going to be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there.
So now we're all stuck asking the same burning questions. Can Christian ever clear his name after that walkout? Will the freak-off allegations ever stop haunting him? And if it's true, if minors really were involved, then what does that say about the privilege and power that let it happen for so long? This story is far from over, so if you've been glued to this drama like the rest of us, smash that like button, subscribe for the next twist, and get in the comment. Does Christian's dramatic exit scream guilt? Or was it a desperate attempt to protect his image? Either way, this ride is far from finished. We'll be right here, deep diving into sealed filings, unheard audio, and every scandalous twist until this entire saga finally gets its verdict. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.